Welcome back to Switzer. It's now time to get our occasional dose of advanced consumer or customer service training with professional business speaker and consultant Martin Grunstein. Martin, how are you?
I'm well. Good evening, Peter.
I'd love to relive your history, to explain why you turned out to be the great crusader against crummy customer service. But we haven't got time. People actually have been sending in notes and letters. So let's read the first one out to us. Okay, this comes from no, this is not Sean from Toowoomba. All right, and it's not up on my screen, so I can't read it off my screen, which is a damn pity. And I probably should have brought glasses on. But we operate a typical public practice accounting firm and are looking to differentiate ourselves from our competition and deliver a higher level of service to our clients. My question concerns market research. We have planned a planned survey to send out to our clients to get their feedback and learn areas to improve. We are offering a bottle of wine to those who complete the survey to ensure we get a good response rate. Is this a good idea, and do you have any ideas that could help in this area?
No, it's a terrible idea.
Sean from Toowoomba.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea.
So grog's no good?
Grog will get you an artificially positive response rate.
Okay.
You know, if you're giving people a bottle of wine, it's unlikely they're going to say terrible things about you.
Yeah.
And if you want to improve your business, you've got to hear the bad news, not the good news.
Yeah.
The suggestion I have is to turn the quantitative research into qualitative research.
Yeah.
Get a few groups of clients, take them to lunch.
Yeah.
Then you put a bit of grog into them.
Yeah.
And then after they've had a couple of glasses of wine, you say, tell us what we want to hear, what we need to hear, not what we want to hear.
Yeah, exactly right.
I call that an out of focus group.
Yeah.
Because you've
Yes.
got to get them out of focus for them to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And
I know a bloke who does that, and he gives them a bottle of Grange at the end of it, so they'll turn up next year.
Absolutely. And but if you want to improve your business, it's all about finding out the things you're doing wrong. And if you conduct research, most people will tell you what you're doing right.
Yeah.
So when you actually hear this from them and you actually act on it, those people will be a hell of a lot more loyal to you for taking ownership of the stuff you do.
Yeah.
And if you're serious about business, find out what you're doing wrong, not what you're doing right.
Now, like, apart from blabbering on the business circuit and entertaining audience with your repartee and whatever and your knowledge, you also go into businesses and help them when they're not having a great time. Is there a great example of a business you went into where, through feedback, they actually turned around the way they did business?
Oh, absolutely. I was doing work in the tyre industry years ago, and one of the problems they faced was a poor attitude to women. Fundamentally, in the automotive-based industries, women are not treated very well when they...
It starts at the calendar girls and it gets worse.
Yes, it does, and it gets worse. And if the guys working can learn not to stare at their chests, they'll do a lot better, with these women. Yeah. And this organisation ended up getting female-friendly accreditation. There's actually an accreditation out there that you can get that says, hey, your washrooms are clean, your people are being trained, and they'll treat people with women with dignity and respect. Yeah. And they only found that out from finding what they needed to hear, not what they wanted to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, good point. Now, next question. This comes from Bill in Melbourne. I am a florist and my greatest challenge is to get good staff. Do you have any suggestion, apart from ads in the paper and on the internet, for recruiting good people?
Absolutely. Firstly, when you recruit them, you hire on attitude. You don't hire on skills. You get people who are nice people and train them. The best way to get good staff, and I used to do work with Richie's supermarkets, and the boss there, Fred Harrison, said, when you have good staff, hire their friends and relatives, because sociologically and psychologically, nice people hang around with nice people.
Yeah.
So if you've got very good staff there, ask them, do you have any friends or relatives who would like to work with us? Yeah. And that's a nice way of getting nice people. And if you have rotten staff, sack them and replace them with nice people.
It's funny, Marty, I know of businesses where they actually will reward their staff if they bring someone to the recruitment process, because they pay Seek, they pay newspapers, they might pay the staff a couple of $100 if they introduce someone who then gets the job.
Yeah, absolutely. But just understand the sociological laws. Nice people hang around with nice people. Yeah. So rather than advertising in the paper blind and whatever, if you've got nice people who work with you and they hang around with nice people, they're the people you want in your business.
Marty, you talked about hiring people for attitude, but once you get them in, you've got to train them. Do you come across businesses who say, oh, but I spend all this money on training, and then they get up and go.
Yeah, well,
what's your attitude?
The old line, I think, is a guy called Tom O'Teal, his line is, and when people say that, well, what if you don't train them and they stay?
Exactly
and
right.
that's the damage that's done to the business. People look at training as a cost, but when you think about it, if you look at what you pay in payroll, if you can pay 1 or 2% of that to get them to be 5 or 10% more productive, there's a return on investment.
Okay, we're out of questions there, but we've got a bit of time. So, you live in the Paddington area. Oxford Street is a ghost town.
Disaster.
Have you analysed why that place is just... Because like, it used to be one of the best shopping strips in the country. What's gone wrong?
I think it's a snowball effect. Yeah. You know, what's happened, and it's been tough as hell in retail in the last 5 years, and once one goes, another goes, another goes, another goes.
But if you walk down, Toorak Road and Chapel Street, they're still doing okay.
And but also it becomes bad if you're looking as a new retailer walking into Oxford Street. You don't want to be there when there's 4 or 5 empty shops around you. So it's even harder for them to get out of that.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of the shopping centre malls, they will keep people there on whatever artificial rents they can, rather than have empty places there, so that it looks like it's a successful place. Because once it's empty, that looks like lack of success.
Marty, well, what should people be doing with their windows, for example? And usually a point you often make, I walk past shops and there's not a real lot of encouragement for me to go in.
No, it's like
apart from sale.
Do you know
and
what
up
I mean?
to 40%. And I hate the up to 40% because you don't get the 40% on many things. It's all the stuff you don't want is going to be the 40% discount.
Well, also the interesting thing is, even though the Trade Practices Act says that must be genuine, most people don't believe it anyway. Yeah. Most people reckon they jack it up 50 before they drop at 40. So that's the worst thing. You want to give people reasons to come inside. I think I mentioned once I was doing work in the optometry industry, and they said, "What would you put in your window if you're an optometrist?" And I said, "Thinking of getting married? Come in for an eye test. You might change your mind." At the end of the day, it's all about giving people reasons to come in and have a laugh or do something different than everybody else does.
Yeah, good point. I remember that guy who owned a landscaping business. His name was Tim something, and he put the big sign at the front of his landscape shop, the piss off plant. Because the idea was all these silly people were putting plastic bottles of water on their lawn on the belief that dogs would actually not come on their lawn and wee on their lawn. And apparently there was a plant that actually used to turn dogs off, that the obnoxious odour dogs didn't like. Right. So he renamed it the piss off plant, because that's what you say to a dog when you see them. But he got a lot of attention on a current affair. Yep. I then saw the story, wrote it up in the Australian. So he thought outside the square and he got the customer. But when you got there, he was fantastic at customer service as well.
Look, that whole area, everything they've taught us in marketing business is be different. Yeah. But if you walk through shopping centres, everything's the same. Yeah. So whether you're being humorous or making cut through, just do what the other guy's not doing instead of sale like everybody else in retail.
Who do you think... we all know Apple's doing it fantastically because people go to enjoy. Yep. Is there a local business that you think is actually nailing it?
I think probably on the retail side, from my experience in supermarkets, I think Ritchie's IGA gets it right.
But they've always been great because they love looking after the customer, don't
but
they?
Also they do a local thing. They do a community benefit card where they give a percentage of their turnover
They're in
back
Victoria,
to local schools.
They're in Victoria.
They're spreading into New South Wales and Queensland and other states there. Yeah. But they give back to the community saying, we're the good guys and Coles and Woolies are evil. And they also have a 200% money back guarantee. Coles and Woolies has a 100% money back guarantee. They have a 200%. If you have bad meat, they give you the meat back plus your money back again. And what they're saying is, we put our money where our mouth is, so the perception is the quality's better, even though they all get it from the same suppliers. Yeah. But they've had those two things that have put them at ahead of their competition in a very tough market. Yeah,
without a doubt. Now, Marty, if people want to pick up on what you're doing or they want to send you questions for the future, what's the email address?
Just go through my website, martingrunstein.com.au, and just email me and we'll answer next month on the program. Right. And people can get me to speak at their conferences as well.
Gee, Marty, you're doing business for yourself. That's unusual. Thanks for joining us, mate. If you want to read my thoughts each morning at the close of Wall Street, check out my website, switzer.com.au. And if you have a self-managed super fund, have a look at the switzersuperreport.com.au website. I'm Peter Switzer. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow night.